Welcome back. So, trusts, do they make sense for people? Do they make sense for you? There are lots of myths about trust, and so I want to dispel, debunk, demystify them, and help you understand them. Now, first let me say, I'm not an attorney, don't play one on television or on the radio, and what I'm going to share with you about trust is based on my experience, my training as a certified trust financial advisor and a CPA and a certified financial planner, not as an attorney. So here we go. Trust can make a lot of sense for people. And I get questions all the time about trust. At a recent financial seminar I conducted, people were asking me about estate planning, wills, trusts, things like that. And of course, I always recommend that people meet with an attorney to talk to them about their particular situation. But I do have a few general things I can share with you about trust to maybe help you evaluate whether it's something you want to talk to an attorney about, and also explore whether you need somebody to help you with the trust in performing trustee services. All right, so let me give you a couple of things right off the top that are commonly misunderstood about trusts. Number one, the myth is they are just for the wealthy. Well, the reason we think that, or people sometimes have that preconceived idea, is we hear about, either in the news or you see it in television, or you hear about these families with these big, perpetuating, multi-generational trusts, and people think then that they're only for the wealthy. Well, in fact, they actually are very helpful for people of all asset levels. You don't have to be some sort of legacy family that maybe was in some baron of hotels or the car industry or something like that, or an early industrialist in the United States to benefit from a trust. You could have as little as, I think, a couple $100,000, and a trust could make a lot of sense. So let me give you an example. Let's say, and this is drawn from actual real people, but I've changed it enough to protect the identity. Let's say that you are a widower and you have a home worth $200,000 and you've got investments worth about another $100,000. So that's a total value of about $300,000. And let's say that when you die, you want that money to go to your 3 children. Well, you could use a trust to help make sure that happens, and here's why you might consider that. Let's say that you have the 3 kids and they don't always get along. Maybe they don't see eye to eye when it comes to you, possibly your needs, your care. They might not get along on how you spend your money, or maybe what you do with your investments, or maybe what should be done when you can't take care of it yourself. You suspect they will fight after you're gone. Maybe they live in different states, and it'll be problematic at a minimum to come and sell your home and finalize and settle your estate. Maybe a couple of your kids are savvy and responsible when it comes to finances, but what if they're not? Maybe one of them has a history of being maybe just not the best with money. Maybe there are people involved that you are concerned may be an undue influence or bad influence on your children when they get the money. Maybe a spouse, maybe there is marital strife, and you're concerned that your children or child gets your money when you die, and then they get divorced, and you're worried that the money then goes to the ex-spouse. There are a lot of things that might, you can imagine, be part of a scenario where there are concerns about where that money goes when you're no longer in control. And that's not just at your death, could also be in your lifetime, but when you are incapacitated. If you aren't able to make your own financial decisions, somebody else will need to. So a trust, along with other documents that are prepared by an attorney, can really help during your lifetime and at your passing, that these assets go where you want them to go, when you want them to get there, and also to be dispersed in a way that is consistent with your wishes. So I love the idea of a trust. I think they make a lot of sense if they're done properly. I'm not a big fan of the do-it-yourself online wills and trusts and things of that nature, because I know that attorneys have a lot of experience and they have insight that comes from their practice, and they also can understand your situation better than I think an online software. You know, the robot on the other end of preparing that document for you online doesn't know what you don't know, but an attorney will. So I'm an advocate, no pun intended, for attorneys when it comes to will and trust preparation. Now, so let's go back to our scenario. Let's say that you have the trust and all this put together, and then you pass. Well, a trustee could be either one of the children or multiple children working as co-trustee, or an independent trustee, be that a bank, a CPA, an attorney, or a financial professional who specializes and has the experience in working with trust and maybe credentials in that area, can step in as trustee, hire the realtor to sell the home, liquidate your investments, pay your final expenses, settle everything out, and then provide a final accounting to your beneficiaries along with their respective share of your net estate when you have passed. So they can organize, liquidate, and put it all together, cut it, subtract the expenses associated with the trust administration, associated with settling your estate, and then cut it in 3 pieces and send it to your beneficiaries, and it's all done. Now, if you have concerns about money going the wrong place or going to somebody who can't handle it, there are statistics out there about inheritances that in many cases the money's gone pretty quickly, and a lot of people have that concern that they don't want what they've worked their entire lives for to be dissipated within a matter of weeks, months, or even years. They want that money held and preserved. You can do that with a trust. The trustee can hold that money in trust and manage it, invest it, and then disperse it out to the income beneficiary, one of the children, if that's the case, and make sure they get what they need from that, and then later it can go to someone else. It can go to them after a certain period of time. It can go at a certain age. Sometimes people use certain milestones for ages on when people get the rest of the money. So these are just some of the things you can do with a trust. So the trusts are not just for the wealthy. That is really the key thing to know about trust. Number 2, they also don't have to be expensive to put in place. The other misconception is that they cost $5,000, $10,000 or more $1,000 to establish. Now, unless you have a very complicated trust in mind with a lot of complexity of what you want done, or you've got unusual assets, or there's something particularly difficult or complicated, I've seen work by attorneys cost a lot less than that, and it's good stuff. So I think you can get the work done by a competent attorney without having to skimp on what you get, and you can shop around. I would encourage you to ask for a flat rate so there's no surprises. And I've seen many attorneys work that way where they will quote you a fee that says, here's how much it's going to cost for a will, a trust, the certain other documents, power of attorney, things like that, that they can be very clear up front with you about the cost so you know what it's going to entail. So it's not just for the wealthy, and they are not expensive to set up. And the trustee also needs to be compensated, but that too, you can know upfront what it's going to be. And many times there's nothing for the trustee to do until you're no longer here to oversee the assets yourself. So trust can be a big part of a financial plan and an estate plan, and they can help you plan stronger.